Alright, we're back with another video. This one is a draw along with the Muppet Babies. Now, when I first started this, I thought it would be very easy, but as I got into it, it did get a little more difficult than I expected it would be. So, if you're having a hard time, remember these simple shapes here. Remember to do your best. I would say Kermit is definitely easier than Miss Piggy. And those are the two I do here. I'm going to do Kermit first. I point out the smiley face curve there, showing you the bottom line for his eyes. So it's not like a perfect circle. It's kind of close. Sort of. Like a gumdrop. So I started with a big circle here for his head, but I widened his cheeks out a little bit, kind of like a triangle. Like a sideways triangle. Like a large banana shape for his mouth. I did that with connect the dots. So remember, connect the dots does make it a little easier to make nicer curved lines. His tongue is a bit of a heart shape, but I kind of wish I'd made it bigger now that I'm looking at it, but it's still okay. 3 triangles for his collar. It's the blue triangles for the collar of his shirt. Rectangle for his body. I get 2 rectangles here for the shorts. I do a sad face line there. I'm showing you the sad face curve I use for the bottom part of his shorts here. This is a line that I use to kind of guide myself on the direction that his arms go and his legs are going to go. I do erase it later because it's not something you would want to continue to see. I did not expect the Muppet Babies to be this difficult to draw. I wouldn't say they're really hard, but I was expecting it to be like the Angry Birds that we did last week, and I would say this is definitely harder than the Angry Birds. I liked the bottom left picture I have there because it shows that Kermit has like a sword and a shield. I thought that was super cute, so I tried to add that in a little bit. I didn't like how it was looking though, so I end up erasing all of it right here and then trying again. So that circle, that first one was for his palm, his hand. This kind of rectangle shape is for the hilt of the sword. And then those little fingers kind of wrapping around it. I would say my line work here is pretty rough, but when I draw, my lines kind of can get a bit messy. And that doesn't really matter so long as you do clean it up. So like there, I erased again and clean up my lines a little bit so they don't look too messy. You just want to make sure that your art is never looking scribble-scrabbly. actually put here the shield over the top of his hand, like he's holding it. This was a really nice way to avoid having to draw another hand as well, because I was very surprised that Kermit's hands, you could actually see all of his fingers. You're gonna see that I resized him quite a bit. I'm trying to draw it bigger, so it's easier for you guys to see everything. But since I'm drawing big, sometimes I go a little too big. If I was using paper, I would definitely want to be sure to use those simple shapes as guidelines first. So here I have started my coloring. I pick one simple green, fill in all of Kermit's skin areas, his hand and fingers here. That middle triangle near his collar is just where the shirt kind of dips down, so he can get his head in his shirt. So here I have added a darker green as well, and that's gonna just make your drawing look a little bit better. If you're using crowns or colored pencils at home, I would probably start with the coloring in some of the darker areas, or I mean honestly I would probably do it the same way, so long as I was using colored pencil, do a light normal green and then use like a darker green, or even like mix in a dark blue to get a dark green. So remember, you can always mix colors. It's not as easy with crowns, but it's pretty easy with colored pencils so long as you're not pressing too hard. If you're pressing too hard, it's really not going to show, or at least not very well. So make sure you don't press too hard when you're coloring. That is an extra step if you don't have a lot of different colors of green. I mean, you could always get some yellow to get these lighter areas, and like I said, a blue for the darker ones. But if you just want to color him green, that is fine too, because this is supposed to be a little more simple. Hopefully this isn't too difficult for you guys. This one's just going to take a little bit longer. I had somebody ask me for Muppet babies, so I looked it up and I was like, oh, those are so cute. I remember watching the Muppets when I was little. Not Muppet babies, but had the Muppets. But yeah, then I started drawing and I was like, oh no, I hope this isn't too hard. I think you'll be fine now. Just hang in there. Like I said, don't give up. Press lightly when you're drawing, because you might make as many mistakes as I did. Just remember, my lines there at the start were really rough and kind of messy. But it doesn't matter so long as you clean it up. I actually almost forgot to color in his mouth. I wasn't going to mention it, but I thought it was funny, so I was like, I might as well. I finished all of that there, and it took me a couple seconds to go, hey, wait a minute. He forgot something. So, pretty much done with Kermit here. I spend a lot of time on Miss Piggy because I will say Miss Piggy got kind of difficult. Not nearly as easy as I thought she would be. But I love her design. She's so cute in the Muppet Babies. I wanted to draw Gonzo as well, but It took it took a while to get these two guys done, so I figured it would be best to just focus on Kermit and Miss Piggy. So here I am trying to show some simple shapes, circles, ovals, triangles, um, kind of to show the simple shapes for Miss Piggy, but she has a lot of different shapes. So it's gonna be, like I said, I think I've said it 5 billion times already now. She is going to be a little more difficult, but if you want to try it, go for it. Definitely try. So I start with a large circle here, and then I try and get her bangs, these like little curvy hairs on the top of her head, and then the curls next to it. At the end, I end up moving these over a little bit more to cover up some of the sides of her face. So if you want to do that already, this would probably be a good time to do it. I don't notice it until the very end. So here I'm doing a small rectangle, it kind of dents in a little bit like a heart, and then two large triangles coming out of it. So this is going to be the bow that's in her hair. I put some polka dots, some circles, nice polka dot pattern on it so it shows a little bit better. And then that curvy part on top is just more of her hair. So this is the shape for the snout. It's kind of like the number 8 if it fell over sideways, or just a rectangle that's kind of curvy and squished, or like a peanut. Two curved lines, and then I mess with her chin some here, making it a little bit more pointed, a little less round. Again, just like we did with Kermit, two large triangles for the collar, for her dress here, the top collar. So there's my little line. I already erased it, kind of showing the direction I want that arm going. Simple line, kind of like a stick figure. So like a stick figure is a really easy guideline to get you started sometimes. So the bottom, her skirt here is kind of a triangle. It just doesn't go all the way up into a point. There's two little curved lines at the bottom. Here I'm working on her other arm, and I did use a line inside again to kind of help me get the direction that I wanted her arm going. So here I'm drawing two large circles for the starting circle for her eyes. Her eyes are pretty complicated, so it's a very large circle, and then like 3 more circles inside. The first circle inside does have those eyelashes coming off of it, and then oh goodness, there might be more circles than I even mentioned. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 circles per eye. If you count that teeny tiny little white circle for the highlight in her eye. You'll be able to see it a little bit better once I start coloring, but she does have those eyelashes coming off right there. I didn't like how thick the line was there. I didn't want it to stand out that much. I wanted her eyelashes to stand out a little bit more. So pay attention how thick your lines get. Sometimes it can be distracting. Add a few more little curved lines to show some hair. Again, you don't have to draw every single little strand of hair. Less is more, less is better sometimes when it comes to drawing hair. So here I have some, I don't know what to describe those shapes as, kind of rectangles that get wider towards the top, I guess. And then a skinny rectangle for the tops of her socks. Shoes can be a bit weird to draw sometimes, so I just kind of tried to draw sort of a box shape with the opening. I didn't want to waste a ton of time trying to add more to the shoes. Little box shapes are fine. So here I'm drawing the stars on her skirt. I start with a lined one, but again, if you're gonna do it this way, press lightly so you can erase those lines inside. And you can make it look like you drew perfect stars, and nobody will know that you had those guidelines inside. I think I'm about to start coloring. Maybe adding a little more hair, cleaning up some lines. So with Miss Piggy, it's a whole lot of pink. So I got this more purpley pink or maroon color for the bow and the darker pinks. I even used it inside her ears too, and her shoes. And I used it for the whole star instead of just an outline. I wanted to color the stars in. So if you want to do it more like her actual dress, then you probably want a dark kind of maroon purpley pink outline and then a light pink inside. So remember to take your time when you are coloring. I colored the areas around the dress a lot faster and skipped the areas close to the stars. And then at the end, I slowed down and went in and colored the area around the stars just to make sure that I'm not rushing so I can make sure I stay inside my lines. So here I am adding a darker kind of pink, just to show a little bit of a hint of some shadows. Again, this is a more advanced technique, I guess. I mean, it's not that difficult to do, so if you want to really start making your art look even better if you're coloring it at home, making sure that you have like 2 colors set aside for everything is a great idea. So this like soft peach color and then this slightly darker, more brownish pink color. So I finally got to coloring her hair, and I was probably, I think even before this point, not happy with how her face was looking. So I colored in that area right there with the blondish color um, to kind of add a little more hair to frame her face. I don't think I ended up getting happy with it until I started adding more darker browns, some shadows into her hair, which I think I'm about to do. So again, having those 2 different colors for things that you color, like the blonde, this kind of brownish light yellow, and then having a darker brown for shadows will really help your art stand out a lot better. So here I am finally going in and fixing up her hair a little bit more. I ended up kind of liking how she came out. Wasn't too bad. She was fun to draw. Like I said earlier, these were a little more difficult than I thought that they would be, a little harder. But if you just hang in there and take your time, keep trying, and whatever you can do, I'm really excited to see. Because this one threw me a little as well. When somebody said Muppet Babies, I was like, Muppet Babies, that's awesome. That'll be a really cute, simple one. And boy, was I not prepared for it to be a little harder than I expected. But I hung in there, so hopefully you guys will too. Just take your time. I'm still cleaning up some of the lines. I think I add some, yep, I add a little blush right there. Just a little more pink. Trying to blend it out and soften her face up a little bit so she looks nice and sweet. I've never actually watched this show. I think I already said that, but it looks super cute. I know at least one person out there watches it. I think I had a couple people ask for this. So finally I am resizing them, making a little more at the same size so they can be next to each other. And I think I did add at the very end a little princess tiara for Miss Piggy. I figured if I was gonna give Kermit a sword and a shield, I had to give her something extra too. I messed with this tiara for a while. It was just gonna be like a simple draw over, kind of like they did in the picture. But just take your time, hang in there, do your best. I can't wait to see your work. I hope you guys have fun with this one, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.